Okay, so in today's session we would be discussing about creating the data model. Let's get started. So I have already imported the data set. Okay, first of all let us discuss the data set. As you can see, this is the data set which has got multiple tables. Huh? Uh, Purposely I have kept the the data very small so that you understand the things in a easy way, okay, and not make this much complicated. Now if you have a look at this table, the first table, if you see, it has got all the transactions, okay, it has got all the transactional data, and therefore we call this table as fact table. Okay, we call it as fact table, or let's say a factual table, whereas the other tables are called as dim table or dimension table: customer, supplier, product, region, city. Now how do you differentiate between the fact table and the dimension table? This is very straightforward. If you have a look at it, you will understand that fact table will generally have the numerical data, whereas the the dim table will have got the text based data. That is the first and the foremost differentiator between these two, right? Fact table, it has got transactional data, that is numerical data, and the dim table has got the text based data. Okay, now this is one thing. Second thing, if you see sales table, now if you talk about the dim table has got, talking about product ID, it has got just one value for 101 product ID. If you see in the sales table, you will see the repetition of this product ID. Okay, so there is one more thing to keep in mind, is that in the fact table there would be multiple values of the these values. So let's say product ID is one value, right? So you will see multiple instances of the same thing. That's why there is one more thing that you can remember, that is it will have multiple instances of the values from the dim table. So I think this must have given you some idea about the fact table and the dim table. Fact table transactional, and dim table, it is basically like a master data. Okay, so I think this has given you basic idea about the these two kinds of table. Now the next thing that we want to talk about is a primary and foreign key. Okay, I can show you same things here also. Okay, you see the same data is here, but I'm just trying to keep it simple. So let's go back to the Excel. Speaking of the foreign key and primary key, what is primary key, what is foreign key? Let's make it very simple. So if you have a look at this table, this has got product ID. Okay, and if you see this product table, this has also got product ID. Now if you see product ID here, 101 appears only once, so it is appearing only once, that means it's a primary key in this table. In the sales table or in this fact table, this is appearing multiple times, so this becomes a foreign key here. Okay, similar manner, if we talk about customer ID, this is appearing just once in the customer table, so that's why this is a primary key. In the sales table, this becomes the, what does it become? Foreign key. So that is how simple primary and foreign key concept is. Okay, I hope you have understood. Talking about the next thing. Now the next question that we have in mind is why do we need this separate table, and why can't we have everything into this one table, that is sales table, right? It can also be done. So you're right, it can also be done, but times have changed. Now if you want to perform the complex operations which we are going to perform later on, it is very important that you have the structured data, and with the structured data you also need to create relationships. Okay, so this tab, if your model tab, this will create the relationship between the multiple tables, which we will look into it afterwards. But it is very important to clarify you that why cannot we have the merge table, and why do we need the relationships between the different tables? Because that way it makes it easy for us to perform different kind of operations. How does it make a difference? How does it make it easy? These things you will understand later on. So it's very important to keep in mind that we cannot have merge table. You can have it, but again it will make things very difficult, especially in terms of the complex data. Next thing, okay, the next thing that we will be talking about is creating the relationship between the tables. Okay, so as we have imported the data, I have not done anything. Okay, I have just imported the data, and Power BI has automatically identified the relationship between the different tables. So let's work on this. Okay, now you can keep this, but sometimes Power BI may, you know, may miss out some of the relationships. So what I will do, I will just delete these relationships, and I will teach you from the scratch how do we build these relationships. So I'll just click this and delete these relationships. So please note, there is one more way to delete the relationship. How can you do that? Okay, I'll tell you. Click on this manage relationships option. As you can see, we can see the auto delete detected relationships. So one by one I can delete those relationships. So if you find this comfortable, you can do it this way also. So I'll just quickly delete these relationships, and from the scratch we will build the relationships between these tables. So again I will delete this one as well. And let's say, just in case you want to have the auto detected relationship, you can click on this one also. But before that, let's just see here. Now let's just see how do we exactly build relationship. Okay, so let me zoom this zoom this a bit, and now so there are different ways to build a relationship. One way to do that is, let's say I have got this sales table and this is customer table. So I can see there is a customer ID column between these two. So what I can do is I can simply drag this customer ID to this customer ID, and the moment I drop it, it will create a relationship between these two tables. Okay, like this. Before we even start building the relationship, we need to identify the key columns for each and every table. How do we do that? It's very straightforward. Okay, I'll just show you. So first of all, let's say we are talking about region table. Within this table, the key column is obviously the region ID. So what I will do, I will select this region ID. Similarly, for the other tables as well, I'll keep on selecting the key columns. Okay, this key column will definitely act as a primary key. So now I have selected key columns for all the tables. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is establish the relationship. Before we establish the relationship, it's important that it's important before I do that, it's important that I have these tables organized for the star schema. So now I have selected the uh, key column for all the tables here. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to establish relationship. Okay, how do we do that? One way to do that is, let's just first organize these columns in a little better way, and it may look something like this. I'll keep the sales table at the center. Okay, and then, speaking of star schema, we are trying to build the relationship between these tables. What is star schema? If you see, this is something like a star schema. So what happens in star schema, the uh, fact table would be at the center and the other dim tables are around it. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, and it's kind of forms like a shape of a star. That's why it is called as a star schema. How do we build the relationship? That was the main question. So what I will do, for instance, this sales table has got customer ID and customer also got customer ID. So what I will do, I will just copy this into this, and it should build the relationship between these two tables based on the customer ID column. Okay, as we can see, this relationship has been built now. Okay, so this is one way to build a relationship. What is the other way? We can also do the same thing using this manage relationship option. So one way is to drag and drop, the other option is to use this manage relationship option. What I will do now, click on this new button within manage relationship, and for every single table we will try to identify the relationships. So now we will consider first the sales table, and then we will have the products table. So I'll take products table, and now you tell me, on it's Power BI itself is telling you that the relationship can be built on this product ID column. So I'll make this relationship active and click OK. Now this relationship has been created. I'll keep on creating the relationships like this. Okay, So again I'll take sales table, and I need the region table, let's say, or customer, product and customer I think is done now. Okay, yeah, so instead of sales table I will take the let's say product table, and there is also the region table. Now if you talk about these two, region ID is the column which has got the relationship, so I'll click OK. Similarly, if we think about it, you see region and city ID is a common column, so I will establish region for these two also, region and city. So first of all I will take region table and then city table, and as we can see city ID is column between these two, so I will click OK and establish relationship between these two. Now as we can see the relationship has been built around these. Now how do we differentiate between the star schema? So what, as I told you, what happens in star schema, there is centrally the fact table and around that there are dim tables, and these tables are connected. Okay, but what is snowflake schema? So I'll tell you what snowflake schema, if you see there is a chain that is created. For instance, if you see here, uh, this sales table is connected to the products table with the product ID column. You can see this, okay, as you can see this here, okay, product ID. Speaking of, product ID is connected to region with the column name which is called as the region ID. So region ID is here, region ID is here as well. Similarly, region is connected to city with the help of a table which is with the help of a column which is called as a city ID column. As you can see, city ID is here, city ID is here as well. So we can see that there is a chain connected from sales to product, product to region, and region to city. City is not directly connected to the sales table, but still there is a relationship established. That's why this is called as a snowflake schema. I hope you understood the basic difference between the snowflake and the star. Star, so every table is connected to each other, not a problem. Okay, but in case of snowflake there is a chain formed like this. So this is how we can distinguish between the snowflake and the star schema. Okay, all right, so this is how the this is how we can build the relationships and create the schemas for the given in the data model section for the given data. Okay, I hope this you understood this. uh, the same thing I would say, I am sharing the data set for practicing. I would request you that use it, don't just watch, practice it, then and then only you will learn. Okay, thank you so much for watching.